Thea-Mai Baumann is an artist, creative, technologist, and cultural leader, and the artistic director and CEO of 4A Centre for Contemporary Asian Art. She's also the curator of Infinite Scroll, a collaborative project between 4A and the University of Sydney's Chow Chak Wing Museum, which is all about what we lose when we live inside the optimized feed instead of inside the real world. Thanks, Tia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Steph, and thank you, fellow speakers, and thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Tonight, we're talking about optimization, not just in terms of efficiency, but as a cultural force shaping how we live, present ourselves, and decide what has value. We now curate our lives the way we curate exhibitions. Technology isn't just a tool anymore, it's the stage where we build and broadcast our identities. We edit before we share. We refine our tone before we post. We choose what appears in public and what stays off screen. We try on versions of ourselves the way we try on outfits, adjusting, filtering, seeing what gets a response. We don't just have a self, we manage, direct, and art direct the self. So we have all become curators, choosing the surface that travels well, the story that's easiest to read, the version of ourselves most likely to be recognized or rewarded. Identity becomes something constructed, like arranging a room, deciding what to foreground, what to hide, and what to frame as meaning. And somewhere along the way, the central question shifted. It used to be, who am I becoming? Now it's more often, does this version of me work? Is it clear enough, desirable enough, optimized enough? Optimization becomes the criteria for coherence. What is smooth enough, efficient enough, recognizable enough to survive circulation? And identity becomes an exhibition of the self, assembled, art-directed, and negotiated through platforms, audiences, and systems of power. This brings me to the exhibition I curated. It's called Infinite Scroll, and it's presented by 4A Centre for Contemporary Asian Art and the Chow Chak Wing Museum, which is located here on campus. The title was developed with participating artist Gao Hang. Infinite Scroll describes that familiar gesture, the feed that never ends. The Chinese title, Yingping Chenyi, translates more sharply to addicted to the fluorescent screen. The artists in this exhibition were born in the late 1980s and 1990s. It's a generation in China who grew up inside the internet, not around it. Digital culture is not only their subject, it is their environment. The work reflects the logics of platforms, repetition, parody, humor, algorithmic visibility, and circulation. But their work asks the deeper, more human question, who is allowed to be seen, remembered, valued, and who is erased? But before I dive into the art exhibition and Infinite Scroll, I want to start with a confession. I had a very compressed time frame to curate the Infinite Scroll exhibition across languages, censorship systems, and time zones. So yes, I used AI. I used machine translation to communicate with artists in China. I used AI to parse artist statements that had never existed in English. I used ChatGPT to refine the curatorial rationale. So I'm not speaking about optimization from the outside. I am inside it. When I optimize my voice and my curatorial approach, what part becomes clearer and what part becomes flatter, which is exactly the tension these artists are navigating. This is Gao Hang, the smooth self. Gao Hang works with the visual language of memes and early 3D modeling. Think Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, the early era of digital futurism. His figures are low poly, hypersaturated, emotionless, glossy to the point of synthetic. They are recognizably human, but lack interiority, depth, and inner life. There are no brushstrokes, no texture, no flesh, no history of the hand. The surface is everything. This is the optimized self, performative, publishable, and endlessly available, but strangely hollow. Gao Hung's figures live in a world where identity is always rendered outward, never inward, where the self is glossy, flattened, and hyper-polished. We recognize them because we are becoming them. Yefuna, resisting cultural erasure. Yefuna turns to shamatha, a grassroots youth subculture that flourished amongst second-generation migrant workers in China in the early 2000s. Shamatha embraced neon hair, spiked wigs, glitter, goth, punk, emo, hybrid styling, and aesthetics formed outside the urban mainstream. It was a culture of joyful excess born in factory towns, but online platforms mocked it as tasteless, and what platforms mock, they eventually erase. Yefuna uses AI-trained image models, an online memory palace, ceramics and textile objects to rebuild a culture that the internet tried to delete. She isn't preserving nostalgia, she is performing cultural repair. Her work asks, who decides what is good taste? Who benefits from standardized aesthetics? What disappears when culture is optimized for mass approval? Where Gao Hung shows how identity is flattened, Yefuna shows how community is erased. And this is Xiaohan, the art world as endless loop. Xiaohan uses game engines to cast well-known contemporary Chinese artists as Pokemon-like avatars in a perpetual racing game. They sprint, crash, recover, jostle for position, but the track is a loop. No one wins, no one arrives. It is funny, it is cute, it is ruthless. The work suggests the art world is an attention economy. Visibility is temporary, prestige is unstable, and identity becomes a brand in circulation. It is an optimization as a treadmill, performance without conclusion. Where Gao Hung shows flattened identity, Yefuna shows erased community, Xiaohan shows endless competitive self-display. Together, they describe a generation living inside the feed. So what is being optimized really? If optimization becomes our shared value system, we risk unified aesthetics, compressed emotional range, algorithm-driven desire, homogenized culture. We do not become better versions of ourselves, we become more similar to each other. We gain clarity but lose mystery. We gain efficiency but lose texture. We gain visibility but lose depth. The works in Infinite Scroll do not tell us to reject technology. They simply make our condition visible. And once something is visible, it can be chosen. Art gives us something the Infinite Scroll does not. Art restores what optimization strips away. Pause, the space to think. Friction, the reminder that resistance exists. Slowness, the right to linger. And strangeness, the right to not fit. Opacity, the right to remain partially unreadable. Art gives us the right to be unoptimized, to be not yet resolved, to be multiple, and to be alive. Thank you.